Jilang is always caught in motion. Whether she's pushing one of the kids from the kitchen to their bed, folding clothes, or rushing to change a wet diaper, she was always on the move. Jilang has been a caretaker with Thi Nghe since 1999, making her stay there just over 12 years. She is one of 14 rotational caretakers in Room 1 of Thi Nghe. Her main task in Room 1 is to maintain the kids' cleanliness, which translates to consistently changing diapers for 40 kids, each kid about 7 or 8 times a day. I recall the first time seeing her in action, diaper in hand, target locked. At first I found it off-putting because it was so hard to get her to slow down or to talk, but now looking back at all the footage, I do remember she always had a smile on her face. Jilang lives on Thi Nghe's site, above Room 1, and is normally downstairs a few hours before she officially starts at 7. And on the days where she has her time technically off, she comes down to help. When she cared for or interacted with the kids, she always did it in a personal manner. She knew how to communicate, specifically with each kid, to make them laugh or listen or even smile. This is a picture of Linu, Jilang's quote-unquote daughter, as she called her for the 2 weeks we were there. Linu came into the orphanage about the same time Jilang started in 1999. As we watched her sing and dance for Linu during lunchtime and break time, really saw how deeply she cared for and connected with this little girl. We wanted to understand how closely she felt to Linu, so one day MK asked her if Linu was actually hers. Jilang responded by saying, "No, but she's my adopted kid. I made a promise to take care of her, and that's what I'll do." Jilang is an orphan herself, abandoned at birth. She also has a disability in her legs, which makes it difficult to walk. And it is really this personal experience that makes her uniquely qualified for her job at Thi Nghe. Beyond just being a physical caretaker, I see her relating to the kids and extending love and care beyond her role as a caretaker, and more so creating intimate connections with these kids to help them both physically and emotionally. Emotional support through the forms of mental health, as we normally see it in the States, is non-existent at Thi Nghe or any other site we visited. In more personal conversations with Jilang over the course of the 2 weeks I was there, I've come to realize how important emotional support is for children with disabilities as well as their caretakers.
This is Nguyễn Ngọc Thúy, a 19-year-old who has limited use of her 2 legs, full use of her upper body, and limited cognitive ability. I've never heard her speak. I first noticed her because she is always clutching to a light plastic ball wherever she is. Here's Sang pushing her around. I found it miraculous that she would always hold onto the ball. If she lost it, she would find ways to obtain a replacement. She'd point to the ball pin in the courtyard, implying what she wanted. It was our way to build friendship and trust with her. You have to play ball. Every day, Thuy would have this ball in her hand, and always wanted to engage us in some sort of game, be it soccer or catch. Here she is, playing with Susan after lunchtime. She's quite good at hobbling around, and has calluses on her hands and knees due to this. Besides her physical ability to play and get around, I would always wonder about her cognitive ability. She tries helping out when she can. Here are their bowls of food, each labeled with a name. Thuy sits next to the bowls. Each time I'd grab a bowl, I'd raise it up, read out the name, and try to identify who it matched up with. She'd shout out to me, "Hey!" and point to who it belonged to. Then she'd lean back, looking satisfied. It is this complexity that intrigues me and engages me. Is it that she can read? Is it that she's memorized the name when she hears it? I don't know. Thuy's personality is very calm, and she seemed to be at peace when she was alone. But she did find ways to get attention. Here's Thuy getting fed. Usually she sits with a bowl next to her, slowly eating a bite every now and then, even though she is perfectly capable of feeding herself. When the bowl is placed in front of her, she would gladly eat. I feel this is her way to get some personal attention every day. Learning about her nuances, what she likes, what her challenges are, I think of the need for better mental and physical services. Every day she's either on a wheelchair or sitting on the floor, but she is luckier than many children I've seen in Vietnam, as she receives physical rehabilitation every week. But according to the nurses, if she had access to rehabilitation as a child, she may have been able to walk. Maybe Thuy and her ball could have made it to the Paralympics.
Sang ơi, em làm gì á?
This is my buddy Sang. He's brilliant, 8 years old, and has cerebral palsy. Sang became that bright light in my life that made clear my understanding of what I was doing at Thi Nghe and as a Viet fellow in Vietnam. He has this remarkable ability to build relationships with people and a relentless drive to challenge our ideas of what he can and cannot do with his mind and body. Every morning, folks congregate in the center of Thi Nghe for group exercise. The young folks love walking around at Thi Nghe, whether it's with their legs or their wheelchairs. But with 40 kids and 7 caretakers, it doesn't happen unless it's with adult volunteers. To solve this problem, Sang organizes the daily morning strolls. Each person who normally walks with their legs must stroll with a friend in a wheelchair. Sang is protective of his community. This one time, I let his friend Huang slide into the bushes to see if she can get her own way out. Without saying a word, Sang walks over to her, positions her squarely into the pavement, and then walks away. This is Sang with his good friend Mong Thuy. At nighttime, Sang shares a sleeping area with her and 38 other kids. Many of them have problems sleeping. Some inflict violence on themselves or on their roommates. There are only 3 caretakers for 40 children at nighttime. So Sang pairs up with Mong Thuy and they both take turns protecting each other. Sang is also a great teacher. He studies people well, listens to them, watches them, takes time to learn about what they care about or what brings them joy. Then he flips our knowledge to help us see the world from his point of view. Sang has taught me how to see each young person at Thi Nghe as a different person, each with their own set of knowledge, gifts, and needs. And it is our job to figure out what each person has and needs in order to help us all become better human beings to each other. Folks like Jilang and Sang are great leaders. They live, eat, work, play, and sleep at Thi Nghe. They solve everyday problems with their community at Thi Nghe. They have expert knowledge on what is good and what needs to change. And there are many lessons that we need to learn from them in order to help improve the conditions for all people at Thi Nghe and to create new stories for our movement towards self-determination of people with disabilities. Another once told me that each one of us on this earth are here to develop the parts of ourselves that have not been developed yet. The world can only benefit if the perspectives of folks like Sang, Ngoc Thuy, and Jilan were reflected more in our society. He taught me that we must be better allies to each other. As able-bodied people, we must change the way we perceive disability and change the way we relate to people with disability. To have each other's backs so we can all get free.
It ain't right to write a bad love song. I take my time, express less often. Some say our fight is lifelong and constant. Complex to be conscious in this nonsense. It's all work with no time for romance, no time to